What's up, everybody? I haven't been making any videos lately because I've been incredibly lazy. I've had 4 days off this week and I've just been kind of not doing anything. So other than this, we got our AC hose assembly. Bought this for like a 93 F150. Got it off eBay for 52 bucks. It's brand new. Got all the O-rings in there. This one's all set up. It had the old fitting on it, so I converted it to the proper one. So I got the high side on here. This is snug down. Hopefully those don't leak. If anything, we'll be buying O-rings for it. This one here, as you can see, shouldn't be an issue because this valve just reuses the Schrader valve in the old fitting there, so we're good there. It's this one here that I'm worried about. And hopefully I did it right. Got a valve in there, but I left the valve in that one too. And it had a thing on it to decompress it, so hopefully that works out. I got this fitting at Napa, or Crappa Auto Parts. And then the fitting, or the whole hose assembly, I've tweaked a little bit. I've bent this down a tiny bit, bent this back to clear the hood, and this I wanted to come over here. And this one that I got came with a dryer here and a dryer, or they're both filtered dryers. And then I got this one here. And all new O-rings. I've got a variable whatever, whatchamacallit, orifice tube in here. So a new one in there. I've got that tightened down, and it's also got new O-rings. Got this tightened down. So we should be good and leak free. The only thing that's old is this tube here, which is, I don't think will ever leak. And then we got an old sensor here. I think this one's still good, but I may swap it out for a new one. This here I bent a tiny bit too, so that this wouldn't rub the hood as much. So the only thing I'm running into is that end of the hose there vibrating on the firewall, and it was kind of driving me nuts. So I'm gonna figure something out on that. But what I would like to do before I go back to work tomorrow, because I won't be able to do it the rest of the week, is I want to readjust my valves. I've reached a milestone of where it's time to redo it again. So I've actually put about 10,000 miles on that valve adjustment, so I'm going to go through and double check it. But anyways, one of the last things to do for the AC system as far as its functionality is or getting it hooked up, is I got to extend my connector here. I made this because I was going to put it over here with a bracket kit that cost about more than what I paid for this truck. And so I was like, no, I'm gonna mount it this way because it ended up working out this way. Now what I'm just gonna do is get a Cummins fan spacer, and I've got another one of these pulleys here. I'm gonna put that in front here with a spacer, and the fan will come out here. It'll be real close to the radiator. It'll pull a lot more air better, and then the pulley should be at just the right spot to run a belt over here. And then I've got a pulley set up for my vacuum pump, which I'm going to drill a couple holes, weld a couple bolts in here, and that is going to be bolted here, and that'll run our power brakes and our HVAC. I've also come over here and trimmed up some excess hose. I got a little piece here connecting this one-way valve to this guy here, and then this piece of hose here connects to a new guy going in here. This was all just rotted away, and that's why my HVAC system was starting to be losing vacuum and starting to run kind of shitty. So I fixed that, and this end here seemed alright, but this one was gone, so I replaced it. It was pretty simple. So yeah, that's AC system's somewhat completed. I just got a few odds and ends, and then I gotta go take it in to get charged, and then I've got to go around this box here on these edges and seal them up. Same thing for on the other side in there, but other than that, we're pretty good on the AC system. So I have a feeling I'm probably gonna need to, you know, tweak the bracketry on this to make sure that the angle is right and we get the belt nice and flat, nice and straight, because we don't want it tearing on while we're in desperate need of air conditioning. I'm gonna get a new belt for this. This guy here is just I just feel like I need to replace it, so yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go through and readjust my valves, and I actually need to make sure I take it out of gear because I will need to rock the engine. And of course I left it in granny. Oh, no problem. I don't want to do it because it feels like it's going to be nasty. Oh, it's actually nice and cool right now too. I last adjusted the valves probably about 10 to 12,000 miles ago. On this one, the exhaust valve is this is the size I'm using for the exhaust, and then the intake I'm doing a 10 or 0.10. I will leave this valve cover out because in this F-150, the way the cowling comes up here, this last valve cover has to come up like this, sort of how I took this one out. And if you leave this valve cover out, it makes that so much easier. And I'm using a screwdriver to jump the starter solenoid, because our exhaust and intake are partially compressed on that cylinder. Okay, open. I've actually been wanting to make well, it's pretty loose. I want to make a little box that has an oil pressure gauge on it, and a ignition on and or ignition off, and a start or a crank button. That way I can just be like, pull over here, and if I need to kind of crank it when I'm adjusting the valves, I can hit it, and that's good. And then if I want to run it and I know it's out of gear, I can flip it on, hit run, and I can look at the oil pressure and have all the, a couple of gauges on there, at least volts and oil pressure would be the most important. And I think that would be something cool to have, and then hang it off the side here, so that's something I was thinking of making as far as a maintenance accessory. So that's a later down the road project. It's a little tight. Oh yeah, the exhaust is way loose. That's not good. So what I was noticing was a little bit of an excessive noise. Mainly in the back of the engine, I was hearing a tick, 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 tick. Not quite a lifter, but more so of just obviously an improper valve adjustment. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the third cylinder there, and I apologize for any Cummins guys who actually know the firing order of this engine. I'm just going by 1, 2, 3, 4, and I know it'll be confusing to anybody else, but at least that cylinder back there, we're good. I mentioned that the intake was a little tight. I just readjusted it so that this would slip through, and then the exhaust was like probably like a 30, so I fixed that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this valve cover out. I might have to hop in here to get to this back end, or I could probably get it from the side. By the way, the studs, or the nuts, the adjustment nuts, 14 millimeter, and I've been using this, except for the exhaust on that one, I couldn't get the wrench in there, but I've been using the 14, and this, hold the screwdriver and tighten it down, and that works all right for the most part, and it's probably going to be a real bitch for back there. So I'll have y'all know, the Cummins van does run, does not drive yet, because the swap on that is very, very, very difficult. So that's why we haven't been making a whole lot of videos on it. We're trying to actually learning how to do it ourselves. And the injection pump leaks. There we go. Tight fit. And we got a little bit of paint chips in there. Make sure you get that crap out of there. It wouldn't be a bad idea to go and brake clean these things. I don't know how the hell I'm going to get it back in here now. Alright, I got it. A bit more of a pain in the ass than I had anticipated. Okay, and then just feel and make sure that the gasket's still going around the thing, because if it's not, you are going to have an oil leak. Okay, and then this guy here, I could almost just put this guy like that, and we're good to go. So I'm going to fire this thing up, see how it sounds with the adjusted valves, and then check for leaks. So just make sure that you're not in gear. Yeah, I think that sounds a lot better. A little bit of moisture in the exhaust. It's actually cool today, so